Merry Christmas, YouTube peeps and barbecue freaks. Thank you guys for stopping by today. Well, today we are going to do a pork butt. I'm going to fire up the Traeger. I'm going to show you my recipe, the way that I inject, or what I use to inject. We're going to rub it down. I'm not sure which rub I'm going to go with just yet. I'll decide that as I'm shuffling through rubs. But we're going to throw this on the Traeger. I'm going to cook it at 250 degrees. I'm going to hit it with some open pecan pellets. This should be good. Let's get started. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is start with this injection for the pork butt. If you guys followed me for a while, you know I use a Italian dressing as the injection. First thing we're gonna do is strain out all the seasonings from the inside. So, just gonna strain it all out, separate the seasoning from the liquid, and we're not throwing away the seasoning, we're actually going to keep it. We're going to use it. This injection, I'm telling you guys, is awesome for a pork butt. This Italian dressing bottle is a 8-ounce container. So this is good enough for one pork butt. Let me get the rest of this strained out and I'll pick back up in just a bit. Alright, so we got all strained out. All the seasoning here we want to make sure we save. We'll put that aside in a separate container. We're actually going to use this on the outside of the pork butt. So here we have just the liquid from that Italian dressing. To that, I'm actually going to add some apple juice. I'm just filling this all the way up. If you could get it to a 50-50 mix, that'd be great. I'm not going to use all that apple juice in here because I'm going to need some of it for my spritz. Gotta be careful here, kind of overflowing. But that's it. Actually, we're going to add some seasoning to this injection. I'm sorry, to this liquid. Let me grab that seasoning. All right, so the rubs I decided to go with are these meat church rubs. I've got the Hog BBQ here as one layer, and I'm gonna use a second layer of the Hog Hot Barbecue. It's been a long time since I've used these rubs. I have used them before, but it's actually been quite a while. And I got some in, so I'm gonna go ahead and use those. But what I'm gonna do with these, I'm gonna pour some of each rub into, this is the injection here, I just put it in a different container so I have more room. I'm just gonna drop some of these, some of this rub into this injection real quick. So I'm just gonna, you know what, let me grab a funnel real quick. All right, so I'm just gonna use this funnel because this opening here is a little too big. And I want to make sure that I don't spill it everywhere. So I'm just going to add, I know it's probably about a tablespoon of each. That way the flavor that I have on the outside of the pork butt, I also have on the inside. So, and then I'll get this mixed up, and we're going to use this as our injection. All right, next we're going to take all that seasoning from the inside of that Italian dressing that we strained out. And I'm going to take some honey mustard. You can use regular mustard. I like this honey mustard. It gives it a little extra sweetness. Just going to get this mixed up. You can see there. And then I'm going to add a little bit of apple juice. This is going to be our binder for the rub on the outside of the pork butt. So you don't want this too thin. If you add apple juice and it's too thin, you can come back in and just add a little bit more of that mustard, honey mustard. So I think that's going to be good here. Yeah, that'll make for a good good binder. So this is going to go on the outside of the pork butt. All this seasoning will go on the outside, and it's going to act as a binder for our rubs. Now let's get this pork butt out, and let's get it ready. All right, so what I have here is a 5.5 pound pork butt. This, I actually think they took the pork butt, which is the whole pork butt, and split it right down the middle. So you got part of the money muscle here, and then the horn here, because this is a pretty small one. This is all they had, and I'm going to do very minimal trimming. There's this area back here where the horn is at. This fat, man, you really want to try to get in there and get it out of there. It's ugly, ugly fat that you don't want in there. So it's really simple just to get in here and get that cut off. It's not anything that's going to render out. It's just going to be rubbery and stringy, and you don't want it. And this is probably going to be all the trimming that we do. It's just simple backyard pork butt. Actually, I'm just going to come down right here. So we're basically exposing the horn. That's going to allow us to remove that ugly skin, but also expose that horn and get some bark around it. There's a little more, it comes down here some. So I just want to make sure we get all that off. It's just ugly, stringy fat. And you can trim it up however you like. Since we're eating this at the house, I'm not going to do much trimming at all. This fat cap here, just a tad. I really like this fat. I like leaving the fat on. I like mixing that fat, getting a good bark on it, and mixing it with the rest of the pulled pork. It's so good. That's all I'm going to do. And since I'm cooking this on my Traeger, I'm going to cook this fat cap down. I normally like to cook a fat cap up, but the heat is coming from the bottom, so I'm going to do this fat cap down. Now let's get it injected. All right, now remember the injection here, we added the rub to it, so you want to be aware of what kind of injector you're using. A smaller needle is going to clog up more than likely. So this is one that I've had for a while. I don't use it very often. I'll use it for a pork butt just because the needle's a lot bigger and it doesn't clog up. So this is just what I'm going to use. You just want to make sure you inject it all over, you know, get it in there. As I'm punching holes in it, I'm pushing down and getting that injection in there. Stabbing and pushing, stabbing and pushing. Creating pockets as I'm stabbing and then filling it with injection as I'm pushing. So I'm going to get the rest of this, inject it, make sure you hit the money muscle, just hit it all over. You don't have to overdo it on the money muscle part, but there's some tubes back here. You want to make sure you hit. Just get it all in there. So let me get the rest of this injected and I'll pick back up once it's time to rub. So one thing really quickly, I did trim a little bit right over the money muscle right here. That's because as I was injecting, I noticed this blood vein here and this fat. So I didn't want to leave it in there, so I just went ahead and trimmed it off a little bit. But you may not have to do that. Like I said, I just saw that blood vein and wanted to get it removed. So this thing is injected. We're going to get it rubbed down next. All right, now we're going to inject it. We're going to take this paste that we made up with the honey mustard and that seasoning. Get it on the outside here a little bit. This is going to be the bottom part, so I'm not going to put too much, but I am going to season it up as well. The first layer I'm going to use is my SPG, salt, pepper, garlic. Again, usually my base rub for everything. It's actually really good by itself, but I like to use it as a base rub. Then I'm going to come back with the Honey Hog Hot first. And put that down as the first layer. And then we'll hit it with the Honey Hog Regular as the final layer. That. Back with the Honey Hog BBQ regular layer. Yeah, well, that was dumb. I forgot. I normally pat in my rub, but I totally forgot to put that mustard on there. And that's going to stick to my hand, so. Anyway, got that side, flip it over, same thing on the top side, come back with the rest of this mustard. Should get it all over. This adds a lot of flavor, this part here, this mustard with the mixture from, or the seasoning from that Italian dressing. Tons of flavor. And it makes a big difference. Back with that SPG. Honey Hog Hot. Get on that horn. And the Honey Hog BBQ. That's it. We're going to let it set. I'm going to get the Traeger fired up and we're going to get this bad boy on. I'm going to set the Traeger at 250 degrees, and for my pellets, for the smoke, I'm going to use a 50-50 combination of oak and pecan. That's my absolute favorite for just about anything, whether it's cooking on a Traeger, on a Weber Smoky Mountain, on an offset. I like oak and pecan. I think they work well together. So we're going to let this sit for a while, and then we'll get it on the smoker. Hey guys, the Traeger is up to temp, 250. Got the pork butt here. Get this bad boy on. Let's go just like that. That's it. We'll get the lid shut and check back in about an hour. Again, I'm going to use apple juice for the spritz, but we'll see what it looks like in an hour. And I'm guessing this is going to take about 4 hours on this one because of the size. We'll see. All right, so for the pellets, again, here I'm using B&B oak and the pecan, so it's a 50-50 mix of each one. So that's what that is here. Hey guys, this pork butt has been going for right at about 2 hours. Give it a spritz. Just use some plain apple juice. I'm liking the color. It's looking nice. So we'll check back in a bit. All right, guys, this pork butt has been going for, let's see, 11, 12, 1, 3, right at a little over 3 hours, closer to 3.5 hours. And I'm liking the color it has on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it at this point, and I'm just gonna pour some, I can't believe it's not butter, over the top. I'm gonna come back, hit a little bit of honey. This rub has a little kick to it, that hot. The Meat Church Honey Hog Hot, which I like. So I want to add some sweetness to it to kind of balance out that rub. And then I'm going to come back, so some butter, or I can't believe it's not butter, some honey. And I'm just going to come back with some brown sugar right over the top. I haven't decided what sauce I want to use yet, so I'm not going to add any. A lot of times I would add some sauce at this point, but I'm deciding on which one I'm going to go with. Either my Head Country Apple Habanero or my Carolina Q's vinegar sauce, which I absolutely love. And that's kind of the way I'm leaning, so I'm not going to add any at this point, any barbecue sauce yet. I'm going to pour a little bit of apple juice in here. Now I still have some fat that's going to render out, so when I open it up, pull it back off, it should have a lot more liquid in it. So I'm just going to get some foil over the top and take it back out on the Traeger. I did bump the temperature up from 250 to 275 to kind of speed this up. But this is where we're at now, 3.5 hours in. Again, wrap it up on, wrap it with some foil, back on the Traeger. It's wrapped up, take it right back out on the Traeger. You guys, this pork butt has been wrapped for about 2 hours. So we're about to pull it off, or I just pulled it off. We're about to open it up and check the temperature on this pork butt. I did temp it earlier, or just a second ago, and it was actually reading done 207, as you can see there. And it's actually feeling really, really tender. So we're gonna pop it open and see what it looks like. All right, so this is what it looks like. You can see that bone is protruding. So this bad boy is done. There's actually quite a bit of liquid in here. As you can see, a lot of that fat still rendered out. That brown sugar melted in the butter and the honey. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and, I was gonna use the Eastern Carolina sauce that I really, really love, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and go with this Head Country Apple Habanero. So we're gonna let this rest for a little bit, cool down, and then we'll get it pulled apart and add some of this sauce and see what it tastes like. All right, so I did go ahead and sauce it. And again, I used the Head Country Apple Habanero. It's got some nice color on it. So I sauced it, we're gonna let it cool down. We'll shred it up and then give it a taste. You guys, this pork butt has cooled off. What I've done is I took all the liquid, I poured it in my grease separator. I'm gonna let that sit aside for a while and see how much fat I can separate from the liquid. Once that is done, I'm going to go ahead and pull this now, and I'm gonna let this separate. And once it separates, I'll pour that liquid back in here into the pulled pork. So let me get this shredded up really quickly. As you can see, like it shreds pretty easily. Ooh, it's still hot. So I'm getting another glove on and get this shredded up, and I'll pick back up once I have it done. All right, so I got the pulled pork here pulled apart. Got the liquid here that I put in my grease separator. Just gonna add some of that grease, or some of this liquid, back in here. And I'm gonna hit it with some of this barbecue sauce again. It's the same one I added earlier, the Head Country Apple Habanero. Want to hit it with a little bit of this honey hog barbecue rub. Give it a good coating. Get it mixed up. And then we're gonna give it a taste. Yum. Man, this smells really, really good. So, get this mixed up, and then we're gonna give it a taste in just a minute. All right, you guys, we're gonna give this pulled pork a try. This is some good looking pulled pork. Some here, some nice bark. It actually had a really nice smoke ring. I didn't get to film that part, but when I was pulling it apart, you could really see the smoke ring on there. So, let's give it a shot. Yeah, buddy. Those rubs work really well with that honey and brown sugar. There's a little sweetness in the rub from the regular honey hog rub, but there's a little bit of heat from that hot one. But then when you mix it with the honey and the brown sugar butter mixture, it really tames it down, so it's not hot at all, but it's very, very flavorful. That Head Country Apple Habanero, absolutely perfect on pork. Pulled pork, ribs, I absolutely love it on ribs. That's what I use it on the most, but it went excellent with this pulled pork. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is some damn good pulled pork. You can make sandwiches out of it. I got some corn tortillas. I'm gonna make some tacos. I'm gonna keep it really simple. I'm not adding a slaw or anything like that to it. Wrap it in some corn tortillas. It's gonna be good. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time. Take care.